What's up? What's up, fam? Happy Thursday. I'm so excited y'all here with me on tonight. Tonight's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good because it's going to be freeing for me. So those who tuning in, tell me where you tuning in from. What's your city? What you reckon? Those who watching the replay, still drop a comment. I'll be able to see it. I am so glad that y'all are here tonight because we're going to talk about some stuff, okay? We're going to get into a few things. I'm so excited just to be in this space and have people, that support me and just drop by and holler at your girl. So I really, really love it. Now, tonight, I'm sharing a very hurtful and personal story. And I won't share a lot of personal things, but I'm going to share things from a lesson standpoint and some things that I learned from this entire experience. You may see me take pauses and breathing, and I have to because I want to be, in the story, I want to be very intentional. And I want to tell y'all, from a lesson standpoint and not to bash anyone or to, drag anybody's name. I want to share from a space of this is what I learned. This is what I want you to keep your eyes out on as you embark on business and personal relationships, and also like how we can support each other as entrepreneurs. Okay. So sit tight. We'll be right back. Okay. Y'all, we back. So we finna get into it, okay? We finna get into all of this. So shout out to my girl LB and to my girl Anitris. Thank y'all for showing up for me. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. So let's get into this. So I first want to say relationships, whether they are business or personal, you have to enter into them very cautiously. Just bottom line, it has to be, you have to do it very cautiously. You really have to consider who you form relationships with, because you can't be connected to everybody. And especially if you know that they're not right for you. Now, I will say most times we don't know that right away, but sometimes there are signs that we ignore. Okay, there are signs that are there that we ignore. Hey, Arvilla, I'm glad you're here, girl. So I've also found that sometimes we want relationships with certain types of people more than they want it with us. Sometimes they see us just as the help or somebody they work with as opposed to an actual friend. And some people are not capable of having real and authentic relationships. It just ain't in them. They just can't. So let me tell you a story. And I ain't dropping out one name. Okay. But if you know, then you know. I recently found out that somebody that I thought was a friend really wasn't my friend. And I found out on social media. Y'all, ain't that tacky? Like, yeah, I found out on social media. Now, I've been cool with this person for a long time. We've interacted a lot over the past years. And honestly, I felt like it was a blessing to be around them. I learned a lot from them. I got a lot of connections and things from them. But I, in turn, also gave a lot as well. So I felt like there was reciprocity in this relationship. I feel that I served them with my whole heart, and I made myself like totally available to them. I'm not sure when the breakdown like actually came, but a few things began to not sit right with me. Let me back up and say this. I never questioned anything that they did. Not a thing. I don't care if they said they wanted to skydive over a volcano in a winter with a onesie on. I would have been like, girl, when? Sir, where? What time, sir? Let's go, girl. Like, that was me, ride or die. I would have been there. I'm extremely loyal and dedicated. And I was that way to them. I was extremely loyal and dedicated to them. And that's an issue. And we'll get into that a little later, but that's an issue. But back to things not going right. There have been several instances of the same reoccurring thing happening with them and other people. So there will be instances of a particular incident or something happen. If people are always getting into it with folks, always having to burn bridges, always cutting folks off, it should begin to spark something in you. You should begin to be like, something ain't right here, or I need to check this relationship. But I didn't. I believe in relationships so much that when I meet people, they become my people. Like, you just my people. I am a known connector. Like, I connect with people. I rarely meet strangers. If I meet you and we vibe, we kick it. Like, we down, we hard. And it's difficult when you connect with people like that, but you're around people who don't. So when they will fall out with people, and it happened a lot. Like, over the years, I run out of fingers and toes of the people they fell out with. You kind of lose that relationship as well. I was just talking with a friend about that today. Like, your relationship with the person they fell out with is never the same, because they see it as you still rocking with them. And although they have an issue with them, they may not see you as the enemy, but they see you in correlation with them. Y'all feel me? Y'all feel what I'm saying? Like, they correlate the two. Your relationship is not the same because they still harbor something toward that person. Whereas you keep going, like, you just moving on, or you just not relating it to the same. I am the person that is like, well, I could be cool with him and I could still be cool with him. Like, I don't have to choose. But sometimes you put in that situation where it makes you feel like you have to choose a side. Well, I just feel like sometimes it wasn't a straight cutoff. So let me correct that. I don't feel like everybody who they fell out with cut me off, but there was a difference in our interactions. Either it was less, or you could tell it was strained when we met up. But this other person, the person I'm loyal to, the person I'm rocking with, the person who I'm ride or die and got their back, they gone on like it ain't nothing. But with you, it just kind of don't sit right because you kind of know. So this person and how they conduct themselves or their business relationships affects relationships for you. So their stuff began to affect relationships with me and other people. And it was really difficult for me. But I just kept going, you just keep it pushing. I think you really you so loyal to this person, like it don't even matter to you to some degree that you just keep going. You just keep going. You don't even worry about it. So I kind of kept going, y'all, until it was like right in my face. And when it was right in my face, I really began to feel like, something just ain't right. It's too many instances of like the same thing that's happening, like the same thing that's just happening. So, yeah, the wheels began to start churning at this moment. Like, okay, you got to really keep your eyes open. Something ain't right. Well, at the beginning of this year, I kind of got really serious about where I wanted God to take me. I asked him to enlarge my territory, but I also asked him to remove people that were no good for me, or people that could not go where he was about to take me. Now, I know y'all remember I talked about that when I told y'all about the depressive disorder, when I talked about, my mental health journey and why I started working with clients. I know I mentioned that. So I won't really go a lot into that. The only thing I will tell you is you have to be careful when you pray a prayer like that, because he's going to do just that. You also need to ask God to give you the strength to deal with the blows that's going to come with it, because sometimes the people who you thought you was going to keep rocking with, nah, boo. They ain't who you rocking with. And he going to snatch them. He going to pull them. He going to do whatever. Okay. And a lot of times we are warned. We are forewarned before these things happen, but we don't pay attention. Okay. We don't pay attention. So with this person, I started to notice like a few shady and disrespectful things that they were doing towards other people. But I thought I was exempt, y'all. We're gonna talk about that too. I was untouchable. I was a ride or die. I never thought I would be subjected to that kind of treatment that the other people had subjected. Just some not taking care of obligations, not being truthful with people, like not being real honest, sending other people to do their dirty work for them, all kinds of things. And I have to say, and I have to admit that I sometimes was the person who brought the news, or I sat back and I knew, what was going on, and said nothing. And trust me, you pay for that too. You pay for that too, as someone who willingly stood by, and everything. Yes, girl, I thought I was special. Yes, I did. That's why you on the summit and you gonna help us out with all that. That's right. That's my girl right there. Anyway, it was just so much, y'all. Like, I can't even say all the stuff, number one, without it leaking out, But also, it was just so much over the years. People leaving, people being disrespected, just backhanded stuff. And what is painful to me is that we have this person built this platform and this culture of dealing with certain types of people, but those were the people that you shitted on. Those were the people that you stepped on, that you mistreated. And that's why I say to folks, and just about everybody who in this audience right now is the same way. What you see on the gram ain't always the truth. Some people so shady and scammy, it's ridiculous. It really is appalling how we carry ourselves. So when you get me with the lashes, without the lashes, you get me with the fake bun, without the fake bun, with the curly hair, you gonna get me from now on. And either you gonna rock with me or you ain't. Either way. And I feel like also, if that facade ever fell off, people would just fall out. They wouldn't even know what to do with themselves if that whole facade that this person carries fell off. So I'm gonna go to the part where it was me, because Anitris, I thought I was special. I did. I never thought I would be subjected to that, and it hurt like hell. It's still painful to some extent. And I'm gonna be transparent right here with my friends and say it's very hurtful some days. I think about how it was done. So I wake up one morning to a post on social media where this person is saying that they no longer have a team, and sort of bragging about the fact that they don't have a team anymore. Again, you ain't talking about me, not me. This me. Like, you're not talking about me, because I'm your ride or die. I'm your loyal friend. Like, I rocks with you, not me. So, got several DMs, people sending the post, DMing, hey, what's up with this? And that's one thing too, y'all, that sometimes fuel the fire with stuff like that. Like, you feel like you have to put up a facade and you feel like you have to put up this image. And it's hurtful, but I just chose not to say anything to anybody. It's very few people who know the full story. Like, because yeah, I just don't get down like that. So again, didn't think it was me. But then as I think back, y'all, I don't know why I didn't think I was included. We hadn't really talked in weeks. I hadn't talked to this person like in weeks. They had just done some really disrespectful stuff to somebody else in our like kind of circle. And then they brought somebody else on to kind of be their mouthpiece, which pushed me out a little bit. Okay. Pushed me out. And that new mouthpiece played their role, like to a T, played both sides of everything. They were just as deceptive and shady as that person was. And no one in the camp saw fit to say to not just me, because it was other of us that was affected by this. We no longer need you. Services no longer needed. We moving on. The tide is changing. Or just say, bitch, we don't want you no more. Like something, okay? Like just say something. Nothing was said. To this day, nothing has been said. Nothing has been said at all. So I just never thought that someone who I cared about, who I dedicated time, attention, loyalty, love, whatever to, would do this. I didn't know that our friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, was ending again until I saw it online. They ain't send me no text, no email, no phone call, no bird in a plane, no tweet, no nothing. They just punked out and said nothing. Nothing. Said nothing. And again, y'all, it's super painful to think that you invest. And again, time is a commodity we never get back. We never get back. But you invest time and space with people and they do you like that. And so I'm going to end this by saying that although it was hurtful, it was what I needed. It was what I needed to, I guess, see that person for who they really were. And also, I think for God to move me into a different space, because the space that I guess you could say he's moving me into, this person just couldn't go. They couldn't be a part. They just too shady and deceptive to be any part of that. And also I'll say this too. God began to like nurture and grow other relationships that were there, that had been there like the whole time. He just really made them sprout up. I had more time for myself and what I really wanted to do and to tap into me and all of those things. And so, although very hurtful, it was one of the best lessons I learned in 2022. One of the best lessons. Now, would I have liked to learn it another way? Yeah, I would have. But I will tell you that God designed it the way it was supposed to happen. So if that's how it was supposed to go down, then listen, who am I to say any different? But I have definitely learned from that. So we're going to take a short break. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you the lessons that that I learned from this, because I definitely learned some lessons from this whole thing. Okay. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay. Hi, I'm Lakeisha Mosley, and my learning community is all about creating a safe space to talk about mental health. We want to remove the stigma and also the bias that's associated with having a mental health issue. Journaling is one of the favorite things that I love to do when I feel like I'm triggered or my depression and anxiety is at an all-time high. In this learning, I'm going to talk to you about journaling, what it is, what are some benefits of it, and some of the apps that I use for journaling. There are some huge benefits. Number one, we talked about reducing stress. It also helps you fight off anything that could be triggers. You get to track those things. Journaling helps you process through negative feelings and thoughts. I look forward to you joining and subscribing to my community.
You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
All right, y'all, we back. And I'm serious about stigma-free, y'all. Y'all see how much I love that commercial. And it's definitely something that we have to really, really be careful about, especially around this time of year too. So we back. Thank y'all for helping me get through that. It was very difficult, if y'all couldn't tell. Like, trying to make sure I maintain but thank y'all. I appreciate that. So what I learned from that situation is a lot. Now, this is what I've done since then. Number one, I have forgiven that person. For somebody to operate in such a disrespectful and unethical manner says a lot about them. And especially if they've done it for as long as you've known them. I forgave them. Now, I ain't forgot. Nor do I want anything else to do with them. But I forgave them. Another thing is I began to reflect on the relationship, and all the signs were there. So I had to forgive myself. I am loyal to a fault. And sometimes that loyalty is blinding. Blinding, y'all, like straight up. However, I'm very intentional with my relationships now. There has to be some form of reciprocity there. And that's not to say, oh, you do something for me, I do something for you. But if, this person is not showing up and not consistent, all these things I'm about to share with you, then we begin to question that relationship. Like, is it really a relationship or a true relationship? It made me also take a look at all of these relationships I had and to decide if they were worth keeping. What was the purpose? Like, all of those things, it made me begin to just really look at the intentions of the relationship. Was I a good fit for this person? Were they a good fit for me? Because I have to bring something to them and vice versa. But it's 3 things I walked away with from this whole thing. 3 things I learned. Number 1, and my friend said this to me today, and that shows you just how in sync and what a blessing she is throughout this whole thing, is loyalty has an expiration date. And it also has to come with boundaries. You know, I learned that everybody don't deserve that ride or die Keisha. Everybody don't deserve to have Kiki, which is the one that'll flip on you, they got your back. Don't deserve to have her. If people don't have good relationships with their inner family, mama, daddy, sister, brother, I might even go as far as cousin, uncle, auntie, you need to be cautious. There could be a good reason why. Now, I'm not saying that should be a determining factor. You have to decide that. But if somebody that fell out with their whole family and they fall out with everybody eventually that you're around, you gotta be careful about that. Or if this person always has an issue with somebody, you need to be cautious. And I'm saying about all the relationships, not just this one, but all of them that God has removed from me. When I say God removed chairs from my table this year, or removed me from people's tables, he did that. And that's like the overall thing. I noticed how people deal with their own families and how they deal with other women and other men and things like that. And I'm thinking like, well, I'm exempt. I'm special. They won't do that to me because I'm loyal. I'm their ride or die. I'm there. I got their back. And they did the same thing to me that they did to everybody else. So, number 1, loyalty. I read a post today that says, trust yourself always, but trust others once they've earned it. Again, we give people spots who haven't earned those spots. And then we get mad when they don't show up how we expect them to show up, but they never did anything to get in that spot in the first place. And most of the time, they're going to stay there and coast. They ain't going to trip. Especially if you're a great friend like I am, they're not going to move. They're going to stay right where they at and not have to do anything, not have to deliver 100%. They're going to stay right there. So we have to be careful of that and know who we need to give our loyalty to, who deserves our loyalty. Number 2, consistency to me means more than perfection. I don't give a damn about you being perfect. None of us are perfect. None of us. We all make mistakes, but we have to own them. But if you consistently show up for me as a friend, that's what matters most to me. If you screw up and you own it, that's more to me than you being a perfect person. You're consistent in how you treat me. You're consistent in how you show up for me. And not only just me, but other relationships across the board. See, that's what we do, y'all. We look at how this person just treats us and turn a blind eye to how they treat other people. Listen, we tell folks all the time to watch how people act with waiters, especially with men. My girl LB, she is the bomb at what she does, teaching women to be wives. There are certain things she tells them to look for in themselves mainly, but also with a man that they're dating. We don't look at their other relationships. We just concerned about ourselves, which we should be to some degree, but you need to know when the exit stage left. Because if you treat your mama like trash, I know you're going to treat me bad. If you treat your brother like trash, I know you're going to treat me bad eventually too. Who am I? If the woman who birthed you gets no respect from you, who else will? So we have to think about that. If a person has issues with their family, if they burning bridges, you better run. You better run like hell. Nurture those relationships that nurture or sow into you. And not just material things, but not every time you call, if you got an issue, they telling you about their issue. Not every time you call, it's all about them. They always got an issue with somebody else. If you have an issue, you can't say nothing. You know, it's certain things you have to look for. There are red flags that we have to look for, not in just male-female relationships, but female-to-female relationships. We need to be looking at those things, honestly. And number 3, and this was the hardest one for me to grasp. You are not exempt from getting hurt by them. Who are you to think that you will be exempt? If they treat everybody else like trash, why would you be any different? Why would they treat you any differently? We feel like we're special. Like I feel like I was special because I did whatever this person wanted me to do without question. But when I began to question some things, when I began to really think about how some things were being done, I guess I began to be seen as an enemy, somebody they no longer needed. And so you cannot think that you're special. You cannot think that if they burn bridges with other people, it won't happen to you. It's only a matter of time before they will do the same thing to you. Nothing exempts you from experiencing the same thing. Nothing exempts you from experiencing the same thing. I felt like I was exempt because I did a lot for this person. I carried a lot of weight. And I'll tell you something else too, that a lot of people who are like that, who are just shady and deceptive, they don't understand the blessing that some of us are to them and what they are doing. When you begin to get rid of people who pray constantly, who cover you, who make sure that you're good, eventually all your stuff gonna crumble because they were the blessing that kept you afloat. Sometimes people miss out on that. They miss out on how great of an asset people like us are. And although we are could be extremely flawed, we're consistent and we show up for people. We're consistent in how we love on people and things like that. And so it makes it really difficult when you run into someone who doesn't appreciate that, who took that for granted and went on with their life. I think that was the hardest part for me, was this person just kept going and left me in a rubble of devastation. Didn't care what or how what they did made me feel. Didn't think about the position they put me in or, any of that. All they cared about was looking out for themselves, if that's what you call what they did, looking out for themselves. And that was it. And then didn't expecting me not to say anything, which, I mean, I will never, seriously. And I know where all the bodies are buried. And that's the thing. If I ever started shooting, I could unload the clip. Totally. But that's not me. That's not my nature. That's not the person I am. I would never, honestly. It's not even worth it to me to, I guess, tarnish my integrity, tarnish my reputation by doing low blows like that. That makes me no better than that person, to be honest with you. It makes me no better than that person to do something like that. And so I wouldn't I wouldn't. Like, I just, I couldn't do that at all. That's just something, just in me, how I was raised. Yeah, my daddy is a preacher, and he would roll over in his grave if he even thought that I would stoop to such levels, to do things like that. But those were my lessons. Loyalty, consistency, and you are not exempt. That I learned from this entire experience. And although, again, like I said, it was very hurtful, it was devastating. It had to happen. And I don't think I would have gotten to where I am now. I don't think the relationships that I have now would have been nurtured, would have been, have grown, wouldn't have been authentic. That's the word. Authentic. I have really great authentic relationships with people now. I see people differently now. And especially the people who kind of always been in that circle. But for some reason, this person overshadowed them because of their neediness and their victim mentality, and how you always had to just, love on them and make sure that they were good and things like that. A thought came to me today about jealousy as it related to that person, and not jealousy like, oh, they want what you have materially, but sometimes because they lack substance and they lack ethics and morals, and they see that you have it, they're jealous of the true relationships that you really have with people. They're jealous of how life is really good for you because, certain people should be good. They got the money, the fame, the cars, the bags and all of that. And here it is. You may not even have a fraction of that. And you're so good. You're so content. You're so happy. And so that's one of the things that I learned too. Like, y'all better stop looking at and following this stuff on the gram. Half of it ain't even true. I have worked with a number of influencers and big names, and let me tell you, the hype ain't what they say it is. Okay, it is not anything that they say it is. So that's my story, y'all. That's it. I really appreciate y'all tuning in, giving me space to share, being encouraging, and all of that, because you have to really learn lessons. If you go through stuff and don't learn nothing from it, what was the point of you going through it? Like, you have to learn from it. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. So next week is Thanksgiving, so I won't be live, but I will have a pre-recorded episode, and I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. I think I'm going to talk about like Q1 planning, just some tips on Q1 planning. But I really appreciate y'all sharing time and space with me today. This was an extremely difficult episode to do, to share. And even with the limited info I shared, I had to. I definitely had to. And it's freeing. I feel free, y'all. Like, I feel good that I've shared it. And now it's just time to move on and do something different, which I have been, as y'all can see. I've been doing some different things, but definitely stay tuned. Stay, subscribe to my channel. We'll have some great things coming up soon. And just stay tapped in to what I have going on. I appreciate y'all. Share the show with your friends, invite them to subscribe as well. I appreciate y'all sharing space with me tonight. Thank you, LB. Thank you, Arvilla. Thank you, Arnitris. I really appreciate y'all for being here. Yes, I really, really appreciate y'all for being here tonight. So y'all enjoy y'all night. I appreciate y'all time, and I will see y'all next week. Good night, y'all.